guys can fucking see me. Excuse my lip gloss. Anywho, so as you can see in the caption, and I am going to be like kind of decked off a little bit, like over here chilling in the corner. So, but y'all should be able to hear me. Um, oh shit. So I feel like with this Mercury retrograde, there's like a heavy emphasis on realizing just how much parents impact us, or our parents impacted us, or just how much influence that parents hold in how it impacts the children whenever they start to become adults, right? For example, let's say someone had a parent who, because this is like, I'm just going to give these two examples and then we're just going to see what else Spirit has for us. But for example, a parent that's like a rolling stone, whether female or male, right? And being a child, growing up, seeing that type of dysfunction or just the inconsistency when it comes to commitments and love, loyalty, virtues of the spirit, humanity. And a lot of individuals, as a result, grew up with inhumane standards on love and relationships and commitment and loyalty. So when we see, wow, this makes so much sense because Venus is in retrograde right now, right? So I feel like everybody is being forced to, and I feel like everybody is being made to really pay attention to the kind of love that they accept, recognizing, identifying the kind of love that they give, recognizing what aspects or what things that they may have picked up environmentally or circumstantially, or like I said, from their own environment, their parents, their guardian, whomever, the media, on the, I guess, like the virtues of commitment, like what is true commitment, what is true love. And like I was saying on the last video about how a lot of us, we went last in a lot of things because we was in earth school and we had to really we just had to really learn all the different avenues of sex in general, right? And its existence, how it can be used as a very powerful force of manifestation and abundance and nurture and nourishment, restoration, regeneration, but it can also be used, or it can also be like weaponized, for several reasons. So I feel like it's just a heavy emphasis on that. Like, for example, let's say, this isn't for everyone. There are some people who grew up in families where, let's say their family was poly, or they had sister wives or whatever. They grew up in that type of cultural background where it was healthy. If it's healthy, generally there's a better chance that even if this person does decide to become poly, they have a healthy perspective and healthy expectations, and like they're more familiar, with the kind of nature of that particular partnership, or they're better off, like they're better able to have a sound mind to make the decision whether or not that is what they want to relive or reproduce for themselves, or whether or not they rather just be in a monogamous partnership. right? Because that happens too. But that's coming from, and I'm not saying that there's no type of adversity, there's no type of negativity, there's no type of low vibes that ever shows up, because it does show up in every single fucking connection, because that's how the universe operates off balance, right? So we're made of light and dark. We're going to encounter the light and the dark in all people. It's just some people, I feel like it becomes dangerous when the person who's dark that you're exposed to hides away from their own dark, right? Or they try to avoid it, avoid accountability, or distract themselves from it as much as possible, or even buy into false light, right? Or what we like to call toxic positivity. Um, I feel like, just like there's a toxic positivity, I feel like there can be a toxic negativity. What people deem negative, or demonized, even if it may be like a negative force, right? Because, for example, all zodiacs, some zodiacs are positives, some zodiacs are negatives. That's just the energy, right? Yin yang is positive, negative energy. So if we really just pick apart what we're actually saying, it gives us a clearer perspective of it, right? Um, so yeah, just because something is dark, and I feel like the biggest people, a culture of people who should understand that would be black and brown people, because for for in a lot of situations, or for a lot of our lives, we've been demonized for the simple fact that we have darker skin, or darker, darker whatever, darker eyes. Um, but that doesn't mean we're demonic or we're low vibrational people, like, off the bat, right? Um, so I feel like black and brown people especially, like, should understand that. Anybody really, because just because you're white, right? Just because you're light or lighter toned doesn't necessarily mean that the person is high vibrational or a healthy person for other people. Like, even if whatever you got going for yourself, like if we was to take on the perspective of narcissism, even though like to that person things may be going fine with how, it's fitting for them, it's customized for them, but it's at the expense of others, um, where they're not considerate of how their actions, their beliefs, their behaviors, affects another person, especially somebody who's innocent. So I feel like it's just a lot of this going on. Um, like, honestly, even with interracial relationships, I just feel like there's just this big, like, eye-opening, like, energy that's happening for us in this particular Mercury retrograde, because Venus is in retrograde, right? And it's Saturn in Aquarius. So the humanitarianism energy, right? The collective energy. Um, but I feel like Aquarius is one of those. I feel like Aquarius energy is the energy of evolution. It's an energy of progression. Um, I don't know. That's how I feel. I feel like the Aquarius energy will come in and basically knock all the damn dominoes down. Like, no, that ain't it. That ain't it. That ain't it. That ain't it. Like, I shared a post today, and I said I'd rather be too sensitive than to be, damn, what did it say? Basically, than to be loveless or careless like half of the fucking humanity, or something like that, right? But we understand where the desensitization came from. We understand that was one of the grand attacks that was launched upon the masses, like, to desensitize us, right? So that people can basically do whatever they want to do that is harmful. Things that will otherwise be deemed harmless now becomes harm. No, things otherwise deemed harmful now becomes harmless, because of the many routes that they, desensitize us and program our minds, right? Even with sexuality and all those different things. Because I don't give a damn, like, to each their own, but it's a problem when they're forcing that upon children. That's a problem. That's when you really have to start looking at, reflecting upon your own childhood, especially how, honestly, for me, I didn't like, well, I'm not going to say that the media there wasn't any subliminals in media, because a lot of us on our journeys, we've gone back, or we've been led back to revisit old things we used to watch and love and be into, and then we will see all the the symbolism, all the subliminal, subconscious programming, in the shows that we grew up on or whatever. But personally, I was exposed to homosexuality by my own family members. So it's like there's definitely an energy, a sexual perverse energy, perversion. I'm sorry, I'm speaking from my own experience. There's definitely a sexual perversion like spirit, deviant spirit, and it's very strong. It's not stronger than divinity. It's not stronger than divine, forces, but it is a very strong spirit if you're ignoring your darkness, which in a lot of cases, a lot of people do that, right? Or they try to find ways to, you know, all the many outlets they create for us to escape from ourselves, when in actuality the biggest secret has been for us to escape within ourselves, right? So if you're going for everything else, besides your heart chakra, besides your inner guru, just that, and just going within, right? It's like you're collecting more darkness, or you're allowing the darkness that's there to simmer and build, right? So I've done said this in many different ways. I've expressed it many different ways, that if you don't take control of the darkness, or whatever dysfunctions that lie within the darkness, because all the darkness is not negative, but I feel like darkness could be naivety. Darkness could be being misled. Darkness can be lack of guidance. Darkness can be lack of transparency, fearing vulnerability, fearing the unknown. Like, all this is like, these are just different examples of darkness, right? And it's not necessarily negative, or that the person is being a bad person or a demonic person. It's just simply like things that they're not, they're just not there yet, I guess. I mean, but I don't know about anybody else, but I'm definitely noticing, like, for example, separations. And it's like I'm seeing separations, and I'm seeing strengthened bonds, but there's like still an energy, like there's a force there, where we have to remember that even when we're in partnerships with other people, we cannot forget ourselves, our partnership with spirit, which means it looks like a long time, it looks like solitude, but everyone ideally should have their own personal connection with source. And when that doesn't happen, and let's say you have one person who does and the other person not so much, these people can still be a blessed and divine partnership. That's possible. And let's say that one person is supposed to rub off on the other one, iron sharpening iron, or teach one type shit, and the vibes, right? When you sleep with people, you create intimate bonds with people, you create a soul tie, with that person. So whatever is going on with your soul and stuff like that, that person can be influenced by that if they have a soul tie to you, right? So vice versa. Sometimes the dark energies, like when you're dealing with somebody who's ignoring their darkness, they're avoiding accountability, they're being drifted away and lured and wooed by the distractions and the promises of kingdoms, like if we was to take it biblical, the promises of the material world, and it can seem like a lot more intriguing and pleasant than the spirit world, because literally the spirit world requires you to have an outer body experience, or to literally be magical. Like, you have to think magically, you have to operate in a magical fashion. Like, basically faith is the evidence of things not seen, right? So you will still speak things into existence or whatever, even though you don't see how it's going to happen, how it's going to coming to fruition, you don't see it. You can feel spirits touch you, interact with you. You can feel a presence in a home. You can feel tension in a room. These are all a part of the spirit realm and the spirit language, right? So, but there's just a lot of people who are so detached and disconnected from that because of the immediate, tangible things that's around us. So, if you're with somebody who they feel like their God is the material realm, right? Even if there's like your path or part of your purpose is for you to move away from that shit. Really, everybody, but everybody just, their spirits aren't strong enough. And this is also too why everybody doesn't go through the same amount of bullshit and extremities, because it's like the example that I gave one time was there's a reason why some women can have goddamn 8 babies at one time. Some women only one, or some women twins. It's a reason why this is like this, because I feel like how everything is a reflection of us, right? So the woman herself is a reflection of earth, the reflection of our nature, right? So if we see that different women don't even carry like the same kind of like amount of children or give birth to the same amount of kids or even have a body prepared for that or made for that, right? I feel like that's just a reflection of those, everybody cannot bear the same burdens. Everybody isn't strong enough to bear certain things that the other person will, but these things still need to be dealt with, right? Because it's a part of the spiritual work and co-creating, coexisting, co-rebuilding, right? And healing, co-healing with the universe, with source, the Most High and the angels, right? Just like, spirit can think about the beauty of divinity, of everything that is divine. Think about how beautiful it is. I'm talking about divine darkness too, because there's divine darkness and divine light. There is, demonic darkness and demonic light. This is why we hear stuff like demons masquerading themselves as light, that type of thing. And usually, how are people in the tangible material realm deceived by that? Physical appearances or materials, a title, clout, reputation, a status, different things like that, right? That it appears as light, like damn, to others they seem to be shining or outshining others because of what they have. It's like even with the whole jewelry culture, and we've been, we already understand our ancient ancestors, that's a part of our heritage and our culture to, wear crystals and golds and silvers and whatever the case may be, coppers. Like, we understand the metaphysics of it, right? We wasn't doing it for the simple, I feel like the divine manner would be to not do it for the simple, right here is my light and you should treat me as light because I have things on me blinging and shining and reflecting light, right? So just because you reflect light don't mean that you are the source of that light, right? So that's why sometimes even in partnerships, the person who is of light, right, or the divine or whatever, the other person, for example, if you think about narcissism to me, because I've experienced it like different ways, so like the worst kind of fucking narcissist to me is somebody who bites off a piece of different people that they like, right? They bite off a piece of these people's style and they like recreate a version of themselves that they wish to be. And half of the time, it's literally nothing, it's nowhere near or close to the authenticity of who they really are at that moment, so that person could be benefiting off the other person's life. And that's why you'll see situations like in narcissistic partnerships where the narcissist will even copy the person of light, their way of speech, their charisma, how they articulate, their expression, how they carry themselves, even the information that the person of light has or that they care about to speak on. That person, they could be sitting there, you could be giving this person the information, but instead of respectfully like taking that information on some each one teach one shit from a place of sincerity, they do it, with the hopes that they will be praised by the people that they're taking it to, and they will be the one associated as the source of that light, even though they're taking that shit from you. And half of the time, the narcissist will try to demonize the person of light that they really like. You know, they're really reflecting this person's light. Like when okay, think about this with jewelry. Let's say, the narcissist is the person that's blinged out, got the jewelry and shit, right? And you know when diamonds or whatever hits light or whatever, it shines and shit. So even cubic zirconia can fucking shine, bitch. So this person being with the person of light, they're literally the source of light. And they blinging and shit, like the damn narcissist blinging and shit because they're with this person. But when they separate, you know, and the person goes no contact, this, that, and the third, this is why they desperately seek out more supply to keep that flash, keep that, you know, that false light, right? So they can keep benefiting from it. So that's a little, I don't know if that's like off topic, but I don't know, I'm just letting spirit use me. So for example, it's just my personal opinion. If, let's say you're in an open relationship, but there's still a lot of insecurities floating around between each partner because of the open relationship. But you try to convince yourself that that is what you want. You keep telling yourself a lie, even though your emotions, this is not for everybody, even though your emotions are literally telling you otherwise, right? Your ego is encouraging you to remain in a negative situation or death trap for the simple fact that it fears light, right? There's a fear of the person's own light. Like the ego can literally develop a fear toward your own ego can develop a fear towards your own light. Because if that's the case, if you're operating more so out of your light, then you're going to be more discerning about the thoughts that, you know, are entering and coming out of your mind, or whatever anxiety that comes up whenever you're about to take an action. Because spirit just broke this whole damn shit down to me yesterday. And so ego, E represents emotions. Now I ain't see this nowhere else. I just heard spirit tell me this. E represents emotions, and then you have the word go when you remove the E, right? So you got emotions before the action, the go, moving forward, whatever. And literally, whenever you're about to do something that your soul encourages you to do, there's this anxiety that comes up, or worry, or fears that try to come up, right? But in actuality, it's literally like just negative self-talk in a sense. Now, the reason why having a sharpened and continuing to have your discernment sharpened, right, is so crucial and critical is because how easily darkness can be confused. Hell yeah, because, you know, when I really think from a higher spirit, I'm telling you, like, when your soul is merged with Ra, the Most High does get angry, wrathful, you know, upset, whatever the case may be. However, that wrath, that anger is, you can feel like the difference depending on the person. Like, you know when a person is just totally wicked and that's what they signed up for, that's what they commit, that's what they want to be, and they want to just inflict harm on other people because it makes them feel better. You know when a person is like doing that because that's who they decided to give their soul over to. And you know when somebody is just acting the fuck out. That's why I said all cries for help are not obvious. They're not. No, I'm not excusing anybody's rowdy ass or ratchet ass or inconsiderate behaviors that they inflict upon others. I'm not doing any of that. I'm just saying, look, if you look around, pay attention to how we treat, how people treat each other, or how they treat others when they're on the outside looking into their partnerships. Like, social media has really built a pyramid scheme of couples, relationships, partnerships, especially the toxic ones, or they like, and this is my thing, whether we want to admit it or not, there's an energy that I feel most people experience where you literally get off on somebody experiencing toxicity, especially if this person betrayed you, or this person did some type of ill manner act towards you, or whatever the case may be. Like, we understand karma. We know people get karma. Like, we've learned that. We've learned that the Most High don't play about us. We see how hard our ancestors, the angels, go about us. Even fairies. Like, we're learning just how strong, just how big our family is, and our connections are in the spirit realm. Right? So, what's the purpose of... When have you ever seen the Most High gloat and boast about having to wipe out a nation? When have you ever seen the Most High be like, yeah, bitch, yeah, turn up, bitch, fuck, what up? Like, the Most High don't do that. Most High don't do that. I'm not saying, that you have to have a fucking, you have to change your personality. Like, if that's just like your humor. Like, I feel like the Most High is humorous. Like, I even feel like, the Most High is sarcastic. Like, everything that is expressed in humankind, I feel like to a degree is expressed in the Most High. But the difference is that people abuse. When you begin to abuse anything, right, or use it for whatever ill intentions, that is when it's like of a demonic nature. It's not that the act itself is demonic. Now, I'm not saying that there aren't certain acts that's completely written off as demonic. Yes, the fuck it is. And there's some acts that's completely written off as divine. This is all true. I'm simply saying that I don't feel like it's healthy, especially in the community, for us to exploit other people's relationships with a lack of compassion, or with the absence of compassion, right? Because at the end of the day, it's lessons in schools. Like, it's a school for everybody. Like, so yeah. So let's post some messages on this and see what Spirit has for us. So I'm going to read this because I never paid attention to the front of this box. It says ferocious grace and supreme protection with the wild divine mother. With the wild divine mother. So, but I'm hearing basically the fruits of a wild divine mother and the fruits of a wild demonic mother, right? There's two archetypes of that energy. And the reason why I want to pull from this too is because a lot of people are dealing with relationship conflict, or even if it's not their own, it doesn't have to be like your personal partnership. This can be like your relationships with parents, or just with others in general, how you view relationships. So with the solitude, everybody has to have solitude in order for mysteries to be revealed, in order for you to really learn yourself and know yourself, because nobody knows you more than the Most High knows you. And this is why we have to have a healthy amount of solitude. We have to literally love Spirit. We have to love Source more than we love people. And the only reason, okay, I want to be clear with how I'm saying this. You love Source. You build your love with the Most High, and a lot of times that's through other people disappointing you, because it's like you have to realize that your most faithful, loyal, steadfast, unwavering, beneficial relationship will be with the Most High. Period. Whether you're a man or a woman. And when your relationship is that solid with the Most High, that means your relationship is going to be that solid with yourself and your self-love. When you're solid with yourself and your self-love, that means the love that you give to others is going to be more solid. It's going to be more effective, proficient. It's going to be an asset and less of a liability, right? So this is why it's so important. And this is why we have to go through goddamn hell and turmoil and disappointments and, well, you did it your way. And that's why I had posted that song, Speak to My Heart by Tamala Mann. I didn't know at the moment that's why I was posting the song, but I got confirmation later on in the day. I got confirmation later on in the day that's why I was channeling that song. So I'm just gonna tell y'all the lyrics. I'll talk it. But it says, here I am. I can't hear. I'm a singer. I gotta fucking sing. Here I am again on unsure ground. Made a move once before on my own. It was wrong. It was wrong. Actually, I feel like I do need to say it. So she said, here I am again on unsure ground. Made a move once before on my own, but it was wrong. Lord, you knew how hard it was, but then you picked me up and I learned to be still and wait on your word, right? And basically in the song, the person is saying, God, speak to my heart. It can be a moment of uncertainty, and that's like the basis of the song. Like I tried it my way. I thought I knew best, but I had to remember that I have a divine mother and a divine father. You know how people say mother knows best? Now, I'm not saying that you're supposed to, you're not supposed to have any kind of independence. But to a degree, most people end up becoming like codependent on humans or other people, opposed to being quick to become codependent with source. I feel like it makes more sense to be codependent with source, right? If there's going to be a if you're co-partnering, if you're coexisting, right? Shouldn't that codependency be with the Most High? And another thing I said too, unfortunately, the reason why a lot of friction and tension goes on between parents and their children and stuff like that, or even siblings, friendships, partnerships, whatever the case. Oh, that's cool. What is that? Whatever the case may be. I think I saw a fairy. It's because we have to not become overly dependent and detached and disconnected from the spirit mother and the spirit father, where we originally come from. We have to remember we are spirits having a natural experience. We have to remember that we were predestined, that we were known about before we even entered those, your parents' womb. Before your mom even knew about you, grew up with you, got to see you grow, whatever the case may be. It's a lot of reason why people, like, they just don't know their children. They don't know their fucking children. Kali Mahamaya. Give me another card, Spirit, on this topic. Divine Mother, give us another card. Give us another card. Give us some more messages. There's a card that keeps trying to come out. I ain't never seen it before either, but I'll see if it comes out all the way. Okay. Okay, so I got number 4, Kali Mahamaya. And then we got Nitya Kali. Nitya Kali. This looks like a lotus. And then we have, alright, that's number 30. And then we have 21, Bavari Yogini. Another thing too, I don't know, man. I just look at people and I just think that there are some people, they really got a lot of fucking nerve, bro. Like the way that they address topics, like, or other people's relationships, even if it's toxic, just their approach to it is very desensitized and insensitive, very inconsiderate, and very entitled, because it's like, damn, you know, y'all feel very bold and whatever advice you think you're giving or what you're saying, when it's like you're not even trying to be compassionate. Like, I feel like there should be no counsel without compassion, you know. Otherwise, shut the fuck up, you know, and just watch, you know, because what good is it if somebody is already in a toxic situation? What good is it for you to add more toxicity to that person by making them feel like, damn, like you're just a failure, you're a demon, like how the fuck, damn, that's tough. How you end up in that situation? And I'm not saying that, you know, I'm not saying that there aren't people who do some foul shit to us, and we understand why the judgment is harsh as fuck. Like, we get it, but I don't know. I just feel like Spirit been dealing with me lately about humility. Even when you're seeing your enemies or people who volunteer to be enemies, even when you're seeing these people stuck in these karmic cycles and patterns, when you see them getting their judgment, and their karma, I don't know. I just feel like the Most High can feel haughtiness, like even in His own children. And I don't think He does it because He wants to. Like, He's not punishing these people because He just loves to fucking punish people. Like, He's not a sadomasochist. He's not like demonic energy. That's why I said we have to be careful, because it's literally a thin line between love and hate, literally. And so it's like you can be pleased and you praise and you thank and be, you know, you share gratitude to the Most High, to Source, right? But you don't just go around like, I don't know, like telling the whole world, like, I don't know, man. I don't know. I feel like I'm just trying to make sure I find the right words, because I don't want to make it seem like I'm saying that you shouldn't speak your truth or like tell your story, even if that means exposing somebody publicly, because sometimes that's the person's karma or judgment, right? Anyway, let's see. Like, let me go ahead and get these cards so I can make sure I'm on point, because I'm just trying to find the right words, is all. And it's like when you care and you're being compassionate, that's what you would do. Like, you would care to like try to find the right words that fits a person and the current version emotionally of themselves that they are and what they're able to handle at that time. Because what I had to learn about my energy being fucking intense and shit, everybody can't take my energy depending on like what current like emotional cloud that they could be dealing with, or current version of themselves, or current cycles that they could be in, right? I know that I've learned that I can come off harsh, and to me, I was just looking at it like I'm just speaking from a place of power and passion, and I give a fuck, you know, I care. And even when I just know how it feels when you need the support and you need somebody to care that you're hurting, you know, that you're traumatized, you're like going through an emotional storm. Like, I know what it's like to feel like you have to deal with being molested or raped on your own, like in solitude, and it's like you got all these confused ass emotions coming up, and you just, that's why I said I made a video and I was like, sex is just one of the strongest traumas inflicted on a person. Like sexual assault. Because when a person does that to you, they're leaving an energetic imprint on your energy. I was looking for my damn lip gloss. Alright. So I'm going to read some of this. Kali Mahamaya is Kalima, the spiritual truth beneath all appearances. The healing waiting to be discovered in all experiences. In harmony with your higher self, she manifests the path upon which you can best learn, heal, and grow. She is unclothed, symbolizing wild, unconditional authenticity. Why the fuck I was going to say that to y'all earlier? Because Spirit mentioned this to me. My drawing here. That's crazy as hell. Okay. She is the empowerment to discard conditioning and judgments that we have worn as clothing. Cast off the fearful constraints others have imposed upon you. Their fearful constraints, limitations, their fears, projecting their fears, right? Projecting their imagined failures, right? Or fear of the unknown, right? Okay. We got connecting to your authentic being will attract healing, guidance, and divine grace to you now. So grace. One of my tribe, I watched, she made like a little short video on Facebook because I haven't been on Facebook for a minute. And that's intentionally. And one of the things that she said, and it just it gave me confirmation for the last reading I did, because basically she was saying why we're late bloomers, or the benefits, the beauty in being a late bloomer, right? Is that you learn grace. You get to learn and gain grace before you really start, milestoning life. You feel me? Like having your children, your family, your home, your chosen environment, your chosen career, all that shit, right? Because think about all the examples that we have of people in these arenas, even ourselves at some point, where going into things spiritually blind is not ideal. It's not ideal, all right? So Kali Mahamaya knows the life circumstances that will best evoke your sacred fulfillment. So there could be a lot of feelings of unfulfillment or fulfillment going on as well. From gentle blessings to heart-scratching challenges that bring out courage and confidence you never knew you had. Now, I can certainly say that I'm currently in a stage of solitude right now. And the Most High, now this is my entire life though. I have to, like, the Most High literally structured my life so that I would have a healthy, like, routine where solitude is a factor. You feel me? Especially when you're like, you have high priestess energy, shaman energy, right? Because, like I keep saying, a lot of mysteries are only revealed in solitude when it's just you and the Most High. And sometimes when a person, you could have people around you who don't have a connection with God, or their faith is shaky, or they're faithless, or they have their faith in other things, that they could be interfering or disruptive when they're around your energy and spirit is trying to communicate with you, right? And so that's why solitude, which is not really alone, is solitude. Some of y'all, like, meditate on that word. I'm going to meditate on that word because just like ego, I was meditating on the word, and that's when Spirit gave me that emotions before taking an action. But something about solitude, the way that it's spelled, I don't know. Meditate on that word. Like, for example, I was the youngest of all my siblings. I think the closest I think the sibling that's the closest age to me might be, damn, 30 something. I don't know, like maybe 35 ish. Hell no, that ain't even it. Maybe like 33 or something like that. The point is, I spent a lot of time alone, um, growing up. Like, I still had family and friends here and there, but I mean, they were just for circuits of time, right? I still had to spend, like, especially like when I started going through traumas and shit like that. The Most High, like, in a way, like, kind of created solitude for me, and naturally, because I'm a Cancer moon and Lilith, I naturally retreat anyway. Um, I retreat back into my comfort zone, my safe space. Like, I'm a Taurus too, so I'm very sensual, and I'm a Libra rising in North Node. So, for example, I like comfort, I do, but I'm like the kind of girl that likes a bunch of pillows and soft, fluffy shit all around me. I like to be outside in nature. I like to lay in the grass. I like to hug trees. I like to go and pick random flowers. Like, I'm very edgy too when it comes to stuff like that. Like, I don't mind risking, like, myself. Like, let's say I'm on a hike with somebody and we find like some kind of fruit or like berries or something. Like, I will try the fruit. Like, that's how much I trust God and I trust my body, because I'm connected with source and I know that poison cannot take me out. Because I've already been poisoned before. I already had somebody try to poison me before. So I know that my body is strong enough to endure a lot of things because of what I went through, and I wouldn't have known that unless I went through those things. And even though it was shitty as hell, during the present experience, what was going on, and I felt like God wasn't there. I felt like shit just wasn't fair. It didn't make sense. It seemed like I couldn't do anything right with people, even though I was literally operating from the genuine sincerity of my heart, bro. With everybody I was dealing with that I cared about, I was literally trying to give them the best of me, and I was losing myself because they were under an influence of a dark energy that was their, assignment was to make me feel small, was to dim my light, cause me or convince me to dim out my own light and think that, it's not as effective. So this right here is going to make me emotional because I don't really keep Messenger on my phone, because I do a lot of stuff. I create music and stuff too, so I be needing my storage and shit. And I believe that having an app on your phone, there's still like some type of influence or influential energy that can seep itself into your energy just by having the app on your phone and shit. So I don't keep Messenger on my phone, and I know a lot of my tribe think that, I'm being inconsistent with them or overlooking them. And I do have a lot of people reach out to me, and this is not to boast or whatever, but a lot, half of the people that message me are sincere people. Like, they're a real tribe, like, regardless of gender. Like, a lot of respectful, wholesome messages and genuine love, and so I was going through my messages, because whenever I do get on Messenger, I like to try to skim through and try to reach back to people, even if all I can say at that moment is just that one response. Then I have to come back and respond to whatever they say to me later on. I just try to find my balance with that, because I have spent a lot of my life, like, as a loner. I have. So don't get me wrong though. Like, I've been in plenty positions where I had to be extroverted, or like I was a tutor. I tutored a body of people. I supervised a body of children, or just be around people. Like, I know how to be outgoing and around people, but you'll notice quickly with my energy. If you see me somewhere, you'll notice quickly, like, oh, she kind of stay to herself. So, but one of the messages that I saw was There was one of my tribe members from Africa. I can't even remember which part it was, but they sent me this wholesome ass message. Excuse me. And basically was telling me how they love my videos. I mean, this shit old as hell. Like, I was like really, really behind in a lot of my messages. So they basically told me how they love my videos and they really appreciate the information, the knowledge, my light, and my courage to speak on whatever, and how they literally show the videos to their village or like their tribe, like where they're from. He told me the name of the tribe of everything, and basically was just telling me, you know, you don't know just how much you positively influence people, or you basically, to paraphrase, helping people and you don't even realize that. And I noticed how when you're surrounded by energies that's not connected to source, even if you, let's say you're connected to source, but you're surrounded by energies that are not. So you're basically cloaked in darkness, just like the womb. So the baby's in there, you know, you can even see like the light of the baby, like the electricity, everything running through the baby, but it's cloaked in darkness inside of a dark womb, right? So it's kind of that energy too. But it's like when that baby come out, you're not putting that baby back in. You're not gonna push that baby. I mean, you're not gonna put the baby back in. Basically, when the baby is all the way out. Now, it's one thing when your head is out, and then, you know, then the baby can go back in. You stick your little head out, you stick your head back in. But when your body is fully out, there's no going back in, right? But the example that I'm getting from that is when you're connected to source, and even though you can identify that there's darkness around you, at the end of the day, like, if you are the source of light or you're connected to source and you choose to take control or you choose to lead with light in a situation, and I mean like responsible light, I mean like reasonable, rational, wise, that's better, wisdom and grace, a graceful light, and you invest more in that. So investing more in yourself in the current situation of chaos, the current situation of sadness, current situation of whatever darkness that is around you, right? But instead of simply being like, damn, ooh, look, you see that? You heard this about, oh, this happened, that happened, oh, da-da-da-da, oh, shit, they got this going, da-da-da-da-da, right? Instead of just, you know, being a gossiper or almost celebrating the person's downfall or celebrating their disappointments, instead of doing that, like, wouldn't it be better to do what people are least likely to do in that situation? If you know most people are least likely to intervene, right, and actually show compassion to the person who's at the time feeling humiliated, alone, and isolated, feeling like they're covered in darkness, why not, knowing that you are a source of light, why not, you know, shed your light on that person, you know, or try to, you know, exchange some act of kindness or something, or just compassion in general. Compassion makes a hell of a difference, and I feel like that's what we're learning now too with this Venus in retrograde energy, that compassion really does more healing than absolutely shunning someone insensitively, right? Like I said before, it's not going to stop their karma. It's not going to stop their judgment. However, you know, don't forget the correction that you had to receive too, you know? So she weaves the circumstances into being that will cause you to grow, awaken, and fulfill your divine potential. Through her carefully chosen life lessons, the heart becomes spiritually prepared to dispense with mainstream consciousness. The soul begins to move away from the limitations and absence of personal responsibility that accompanies mass conditioning. The inner spiritual eye flutters open and new realities open up. It says, Mass consciousness and mainstream interpretations of events cannot support your soul path. It is only through looking for the deeper spiritual purpose within a life lesson that you will cut through the confusion to obtain clarity and attract all you need to heal and transform the situation at hand. That's literally what I just said. Listen to your heart rather than allowing conventional beliefs to create fear in your mind or encourage you to create fear for others in their minds, right? So this is talking about this energy arising when a situation has become unnecessarily complicated or confusing to your heart. Confusing to the heart, Venus in retrograde. So a lot of confusion as well, or possible confusion going on around love, partnerships, right? The truth could either provide immediate relief or not be easy to accept at first. This is talking about promised revelations that shall ultimately lead you beyond deception or beyond what is simply not right for you. Protecting you from that which is unworthy of your heart and has constrained your spirit. Unworthy of your heart, unworthy of being produced or reproduced from your heart space, right? So even attitudes and shit like that on love. Misinterpreting guidance reinforces our ego patterns and keep us stuck. Misinterpreting patterns. Misinterpreting guidance reinforces our ego patterns and keeps us stuck. So this is talking about authenticity. It says authenticity keeps us dialed into our true purpose and passion. Protecting the soul from conventionality that constricts, disables, and steals our creative fire. So there's a spiritual recalibration happening with the heart chakras, with the Venus energy, a recalibration. Which is, and they're saying that this, and it definitely was probably unanticipated for some. Almost showing up as like a disruption of sorts. When our minds are so confused that we do not even sense the troubles that threaten to consume us, she arises from the ocean of consciousness with compassionate ferocity. This is why I read the front. I've had this deck for a year. This is why I read the freaking front of the box. So like I've been saying, another thing that's recently happened with us spiritual beings is a heightened attention to detail. So yeah. So reminding us that we are the most powerful and protected when we seek the truth of the heart, because that is when we are closest to the Divine Mother. So seeking the truth of the people's hearts that's going through whatever karmic cycle or, pattern or some shit, instead of just, I feel like this is ignorance. When you just basically boil it down to, oh, that person is dumb. They're a dumbass. Even if you do say that, it's like, what is the deeper, what is underneath that? You should be able to know what's underneath the surface of that, even if you are making those type of remarks, right? What's underneath the surface of that, of the person, being dumb or humiliating themselves, right? Instead of just focusing on, oh my God, she's so embarrassing. She's embarrassing herself. He's embarrassing himself. Instead of focusing on that surface ass shit that comes off very arrogant and haughty, right? And without compassion. You need to also be considerate of, what's the factor. If you're going to make that person's connection or another person your goddamn focus, right? You should be able to identify what's the, what's the spiritual lesson at hand that maybe this person is, currently on their soul path to learning or whatever, or that spirit is correcting with them. How can I look into my own life and my own experiences and see what might be going on with this person spiritually? How can I reflect back on my own damn experiences? All right. So have patience in the unfolding events and trust that grace is unlimited. So there's deep healing. There is deep healing that is taking place within our souls, and especially within the heart chakra and the sacral. All right, so we got number 3. So it says, she calls us away from the world to journey inwards where a path of sacred introversion beckons. Calls us away from the world, so solitude, to journey inwards, right? Where a path of sacred introversion beckons. So beckons is like it's calling to you, right? Calling my spirit, I'm hearing Kodak. Turning within may feel natural or unfamiliar. But in journeying within you, will gain energy, insight, and freedom from the constraints of what has been. Allow that which needs to end to do so. You shall realize you are not being denied, but released. There is something new on the horizon. Honor your losses, but keep hope in your heart for what it is meant to be. For what is meant to be. Keeping hope in our hearts when we lose things. Even when we're confused about it. Or it's just unpleasant. And sometimes it can just be attitudes that's shedding. Beliefs, perceptions. Subconscious limitations that can be being shedded too. It doesn't always have to be an entire connection, right? So something about the waning moon. So we could be in a waning moon right now. I'm not sure. In the cycle of the waning moon, from the moment just after the height of the full moon into a phase of decline, right up until the black moon, just before the new moon initiates the building of a fresh cycle. That was a lot to say. So something about the moon phase is here. So sacral energy. So the waning moon phase, it says this moon phase embodies the natural magic inherent in letting go and allowing for the energies to run their course and die away. It can be a sign to embrace the qualities of decrease for a period, to bring a cycle of experience to completion, and generate what is necessary for the next cycle to be more abundant and nourishing than the last. Definitely, this is definitely happening right now. So this is what's also taking place in this moments of solitude, right? But something about those who can endure, or patience, or how you handle that solitude, how you go about it, right? Your attitude, your faith. Are you feeling hopeless, like because of the people, or do you have hope in source? Do you still have hope in the magic of the Most High, right? Because some people just lose all hope when they lose people or lose things or materials. And that's where you fuck up. That's how you generate more loss, right? Because it's like, so you're going to keep acting like your happiness only comes from these things or these people and never from me? So until you figure that out, go without. So something about honoring our soul's rhythms as it pertains to peer pressure. So an energy of resistance to what's crumbling away. So some people can even be experiencing deaths, or something about past loved ones could be coming up at this time too. Allowing for cleansing emotion, perhaps anger, sadness, and loss or grief in the face of betrayal, disappointment, or confusion to move through the soul. Okay, let me read that whole sentence. Yet in doing so, we can give proper burial, allowing for cleansing emotions, perhaps anger, sadness, loss, or grief in the face of betrayal, disappointment, or confusion to move through the soul. Then a space for higher understanding, healing, and even forgiveness and gratitude for what has been learned can open up. The space for higher understanding, healing, and even forgiveness and gratitude for what has been learned can open up. I said that in the beginning of the video. Peace and release follow, and soon after a readiness for the new. This requires wisdom and courage. Inner processes need to take place beneath a cover of darkness. Privacy and sanctuary. This is all confirmation, man, for what we said. You do not need to parade your process before, you do not need to parade your process before others, nor prove anything to anyone. This is a time of natural inward motion and decline. It is healthy and can be enjoyable, relished as a chance to clear out and free yourself from unnecessary burdens of mind and body. Whoa, this is a chance. It says if you are not used to letting go or believe you must constantly be on, in quotes, this is a chance to expand your psychological and emotional vocabulary. Damn. So affirmations. Divine feminine wisdom of the soul, allowing this to do what it does so well and so naturally. Which is providing the method and the process for healing transformations. Woo! Some of you guys, your solitude. That's why I said the solitude. It could have been like scary at first, like especially like if you're in like a partnership, and that's just, I don't know, like it differs, right? Whatever, it can be like several things, like your living situation, and so whatever y'all decided upon, so that each person can have a healthy amount of solitude, right? For that connection with source, right? It says, if you are used to controlling everyone and everything, consider this a chance to step back and allow others to develop their power and responsibility, right? Solitude, this is also what solitude is. Give yourself time and space to truly let go, as this ending is divinely intended. You shall receive abundant blessings that will more than replace any loss or suffering you have experienced through the conclusion of a life phase. If you have been in a period of loss or grief, the oracle indicates that this is coming to an end, likely sooner than you realize. That's good news. And yet, you are invited to allow it to find its completion naturally, rather than trying to rush it to an ending. Allow it to find its completion naturally, right? This also predicts a closure around a matter of deep soul healing. Trust yourself and your divine timing. You will instinctively sense when you are ready to put the sad days behind you and embrace the beginning of a happier time. This is beautiful. No matter how unlikely that seems at this time, it will happen naturally, as sure as spring follows winter. This oracle asks you to give the more challenging emotions, such as grief and sadness, proper honor and place, right? Instead of demonizing it. Do not avoid them, but do not allow them to consume your entire being or believe that they shall rule your life. Ego. Your ego. Or identifying with them, right? If you feel your hands are tied and you are unable to exert your will in the world at this time, do not fret. Often before a time of significant fruition, there is a period when nothing much seems to be happening. So this is what's going on right now. You are attending to your inner work and strengthening your vision and intention. But where is the evidence and result of your hard work? It is building within the soul, just as powerful energies build unseen within the seed, ready to spring forth with unexpected and astonishing strength and vibrancy when the time is right. Let go of force, but do not give in to despair or a feeling of defeat. Any cycle of holding back or lack of external support for your inner work will end, followed by a new era of divinely mandated manifestation. That's beautiful. Wow. And what's so cool about this? On the Baravi Yogini, it literally looks like these look like they go together. Hold on. Well, it's number 21, 2 and 1 is 3, and then we got 30, so we got 3, 3 here. 3, 3, authenticity, integrity, Trinity, mind, body, and soul. Oneness with spirit, right? The I am and the wholeness becoming one. This also reminds me of like the root chakra or the base chakra on the skull. And then okay, so definitely this is just all confirmation. But I'm getting like give me 1 second.